Hi, my name is Phil. I like to talk about politics. In this video, I'd like to discuss the announcement that the Department for Exiting the European Union will be closed down on January the 31st, 2020, which to me seems odd for a government that is pretending that it wants to deal with the EU because, I would have thought that's the very department that should arrange it. But first, if you'd like to see more of my videos, then please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So the Brexit Department, as it is much more commonly known, is shutting down despite the fact that Brexit is really just beginning. The purpose of the department could be considered twofold. So one, to carry out the negotiations with the EU in order to leave in a way that was mutually acceptable, and two, to carry out investigations into how various permutations of Brexit would affect the UK, and then to put in place systems and procedures to lessen any negative impacts and promote positive ones, should any actually exist. So on to the first point. We could have left without a deal back in summer 2016. We could have triggered Article 50 and then said, actually, do you know what? We don't want to negotiate anything. We're just going to leave straight away. If Parliament was actually insane enough to think that'd be good for us, they could have done that. It did not, and so we sent our most hilarious clowns to take charge of the negotiations in order to arrange for a withdrawal agreement that stops us falling off the cliff edge of having no trade deals with, well, the entire world. There are other agreements we need as well, but everyone focuses on trade, so sod it, we'll just go with that. Now, the withdrawal agreement that we have only gives us anything at all for 11 months. It's an agreement that lasts for 11 months, up until the end of 2020. So if we needed the Brexit Department to spend 3 years negotiating a deal that lasts for 11 months, how come we don't need it to negotiate a deal that lasts indefinitely after that? It makes no sense to me. Granted, I'm not an expert, but the only way it does make any sense is if you consider that the last Parliament really did want a deal, but the new one does not. Then on to the second point. So if the department needed to coordinate discussions involving other government departments in order to explore the consequences of various Brexit outcomes and then come up with systems to deal with them, well, why is it not now going to be needed, given that, we are definitely leaving and we still don't know what Brexit is yet? It's all right saying Brexit is Brexit. What is it then? What is our eventual relationship with the EU going to be? No one knows. And that's the most spectacular part of the decision for me. I get that he won't be bothered about the details of negotiations with the EU because Boris Johnson intends them to go absolutely nowhere next year. But even he must want to lessen the impact of no deal Brexit that he is committing us to in 2021. That being said, and although it doesn't make sense to me, the decision to abolish the department is not necessarily disastrous in itself, as long as the essential work still carries on somewhere. After all, Boris Johnson kept banging on about get Brexit done during the election campaign. So I imagine to members of the general public only keeping half an eye on things, it might seem a little odd if the Brexit Department was still going strong with a Brexit Secretary after January when we've supposedly got Brexit done. So I'm quite sure that Johnson will insist that Brexit has been done from that point, even though it will only just be entering the lengthiest phase of the process. But like I say, it took 3 years to arrange the terms of our relationship for a mere 11 months. How long is it going to take to get our finalised relationship? And yes, although I say he's clearly committed to a no deal at the end of 2020, that isn't the end of it. Even when we exit, without comprehensive arrangements, negotiations will still have to continue. The government can't do nothing while businesses are folding like cards and people are losing their jobs left, right and centre. But in order to claim that he's got Brexit done and fool at least the majority of the public, I accept that he had to get rid of the department. Certainly Raoul Raparel, who was the trade advisor I was talking about recently, said that it was the right decision, but also that the skills of those in the department were still necessary, that they should still be retained. Now, I don't imagine he meant the minister in that. What I do imagine he meant is that the work will still have to continue. You still have to have those negotiations. You still have to consider permutations, different outcomes, and do something to make sure that those outcomes are not spectacularly bad for us. And both strands of it, have to be done. And you would have to assume that the closure of the department will be symbolic only, but that the work will continue somewhere else. maybe more out of public view. What I don't know is where, because Boris Johnson doesn't do plans. He's a mad dog. And those around him who are capable of planning, well, their plans seem to involve utter chaos for the UK. And it also means that the negotiations, such as they will be, as things stand in terms of looking at the announcements they've made, they're going to be conducted by multiple government departments. Now, as far as I can tell, there has been absolutely no word on which cabinet minister will have overall responsibility for them. Is there one? I mean, if there isn't, then not only do we face a scenario where each individual EU member state will have the potential to derail negotiations with their own individual requirements. I mean, that is the nature of the EU. That's what's going to happen. That is the benefit of being a member, that you get a veto. If you don't like a trade deal, you get to, it doesn't matter if everyone else loves it, you get to say, it's not good for us, it's not happening. So you end up with trade deals that are good for everyone. But not only are you going to get that, we might also have multiple departments within the UK's own government, a single state acting against each other as well. They'll all have their own competing interests. And it's not like Boris Johnson will take personal charge, even if he eventually says he will. He is someone who basically has a policy and says to people, this is my policy, do it. And then expects others to work out the details. He doesn't do that himself. And he doesn't, we've seen this already. He doesn't accept from civil servants, you're asking for the impossible. He just says, will you get it done? So there'll be no leadership from him at all. So not only do we not have a negotiating position, as I discussed a few days ago, but we also have nobody leading the negotiations, or if we do, the government haven't bothered to tell us who it will be. I mean, I hope someone will emerge before the end of January, or we are going to look especially stupid when we go along to the negotiations with nobody in overall charge, not having a negotiating position at all. And we're going to be doing it against the most experienced trade negotiators in the world. Maybe they can get David Davis back and we can all go full circle. Hey. So I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. If you'd like to support the channel further, then please also click the Patreon link for details. Until next time, I'll see you later.